After creating the majority of block D subtractively, I want to create the little nub that sticks up off the top view. I'm going to go ahead and click that, take my shortcut to sketch, and either get the top view by going into this menu or holding Control and pushing the number 5, which gives me the top view. I'm also now going to take and drop this down and get my Centerline Underline tool. I can then find the midpoint of my long edge and draw all the way across horizontally to where it intersects the other edge. You will notice that I am getting a coincident relationship there and a horizontal relationship. That means that I have done this correctly. If I draw up to this corner, I am not doing that correctly, so I'd want to change that. So this is the view that I should have. Next, I'm going to grab my circle tool. When I grab my circle tool, I want to make sure I am not near the midpoint of my line so that I can draw a circle that has a coincident relationship between the center of the circle and the line, but is not stuck at the midpoint. If when you click out of your circle tool by pushing Escape twice, if this is black, you have a problem. So go ahead and now smart dimension your circle. You want to give it 2 dimensions. The first one you're going to give it its diameter. Its diameter is 20 millimeters exactly. If you look at the drawing, it shows the arc as having a radius of 10. Well, so if from the center out is 10 millimeters, then all the way across is 20. The next thing I want to do is I want to position my circle. The drawing tells me that from the edge to the very tip of where this nub starts is 20 millimeters. But SolidWorks doesn't easily let me dimension that. It more wants to dimension circles from the center. So when I click this and I click this, I get the distance from the edge to the center. So since I know the radius is 10 millimeters, I just have to add 10. So 20 plus 10 gives me 30. That moves my circle back here. The next tool that I'm going to use is brand new. Under corner rectangle in the menu here is an option called center rectangle. What this does is it lets us draw a rectangle very similar to the way we draw a circle. I can pick a first point as the center of the rectangle, and then I draw out to define another position. I'm going to make sure I try to get on either the 6 o'clock or 12 o'clock position of my circle. Well, I know mine's hanging off right now. I'll size that up again later. The next thing I want to do is I'm actually going to size this line as being 20 millimeters. Because my drawing shows me that overall it's 30. Okay, so that portion has to be 20. It may have added some relationships that might cause me a problem in the future. If it did that, I'll show us how to correct that. But this gives me my overall shape. The outside of this is exactly what I want. But now I have too many things that create contours on the inside. I want one solid shape. I'm not worried about these construction lines, but the solid lines inside need to go. The tool that we're going to use for that is called Trim. Trim Entities is right here. And you want to set it to Trim to Closest. What Trim to Closest does is it lets me trim out something between 2 intersections. So when I get over this area, it lets me trim that away. And I get over this area and it lets me trim that away. Then as I trim this one and that one, you'll notice I have a closed shape. And everything is still fully defined, as it says here, but there are no solid lines on the inside of this. This is exactly what I'm looking for. I have one shape, one closed shape, the end. Okay? If you have any other solid lines to the inside of here, it's going to cause you problems on the next step. So double check. It's worth looking again to make sure you are all squared away. Everything is trimmed. I'm now going to push Exit Sketch. I'm going to use Control 7 to swing back around to an isometric view. And then under Features, I'm going to hit Extrude Boss Base. I want this to go up 18 millimeters. So I'm going to type in 18 and hit Enter and verify that it is coming up all as one thing. If it's not coming up all as one thing, or this Selected Contours window is dropped down and it's trying to ask you to select areas, that means you didn't do your trim correctly. So you're going to want to go back and fix that to make it right. As I accept that, I now get the nub showing on the top of my block D. this is how you create that. This is now ready to be set up on a drawing, the way that the example shows you in the folder on Schoology.